Good afternoon. We're going to be talking about financial systems and how we can make them more inclusive. We had a wonderful discussion this morning around real estate, around investing in Kenya. And now we're going to talk about the enabler, okay? We have a very strong panel. I'll give you all a second just to introduce yourselves very quickly so we can have enough time to jump into the conversation. So I'll start on this side since you're having the microphone.
Thank you. So hi everyone. My name is Nasimiyu. I'm from the Nairobi Securities Exchange, or Nairobi Stock Exchange, but Nairobi Securities Exchange as it is. So I work under the LLP, the advisory arm. So I'm excited to be here. Yeah.
Hi everyone. My name is Lawrence Aswani. I'm expert I've been in banking for quite some time, but I thrive in finance, looking at risks management, and at the same time forward-looking of any organization, but fundamentally changing the status quo.
Good afternoon, everyone. I think I introduced myself earlier, but my name is Patel. I'm the Director for Retail and SME at I&M Bank. I&M Bank is a commercial bank, Tier 1, operating in 5 countries, Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, Tanzania, and we have a JV in Mauritius. Thank you.
Brilliant. And since you have the microphone, we'll start with you. Banking is a big challenge. Not only, from where the majority of the people who are sitting in this room are, whether it's the UK, the United States, etc., but even more so in what they call the third world, which I really hate. So talk to me about how I&M Bank is breaking some of those silos and misconceptions, if you will, and providing services that many of us in this room are accustomed to.
Thank you. So, yeah, I hate the word third world as well. And when you look around and see some of the tech that the problems we've solved through tech in this part of the world, I think we should be calling them the third world, to be honest.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but coming back, we're very keen to build. We're a digital-first bank, and really, it's to understand, what are the pain points for the consumer, and try and build and design products and services that really speak to that. So, for instance, one of the pain points we know is on onboarding and the KYC, etc. Especially if I look at it, Kenya, in physical forms. We were just talking earlier about with Nancy, and she was saying that some bank asked her to fill in physical forms and then courier them across, into Kenya, etc. And it's very painful and it's very clunky as it is. So one of the initiatives we've took on board was how do we onboard digitally a customer within 5 minutes, tie up with the governments to try and integrate into the digital KYC so that we can integrate that. How do we work to also deal with the pain points like, many diaspora don't necessarily have a local number, and that becomes another barrier. So what other channels can we use towards dealing with the communication, and today, in this day and age, there are platforms, in different markets for that. Besides that, it's really about also seeing how transparent we are in terms of the tech because again, most of the diaspora are distance creates that distrust. And how do we deal with that? So it's bringing that transparency, whether it's investment solutions, it's in the remittance space, it's making payments, and there's a whole long list of these kind of initiatives that we're working on to make it very seamless for the diaspora to basically bring them closer to home through their hands, through their mobile. That's really the idea.
Absolutely. And there's one other question I'll come to around interest rates and enabling them. So yeah, keep your mind sharp for that. So in terms of strategy, you're a financial strategist, an expert. How can the diaspora take advantage of some of these offers that banks have, SACCOs have, the Nairobi Stock Exchange has some wonderful investable products that are available to all of us. Give them in a nutshell how they can, create and carve out a strategy that could help them financially and otherwise.
First, we are not third world. I think the best word to use, best we can use, it may be emerging market. But having said that, there are very many opportunities within Africa that diaspora can be able to grasp on. But fundamentally, there are certain aspects where we run in silos. And if you look at the products that are around us and the market that we are operating in, we should be able to be seamless in flowing our money from offshore through to the investment opportunities that are within Africa. First, what we need to look at ourselves is we are one Africa, and then try and consolidate the flows that come from outside and do certain targeted ventures. For instance, pooling resources so that you can be able to do a particular undertaking within African domain. Because most of the time you find one wants to run something, but you want to run it alone, and at the end of the day, because of the capital requirement, you end up not doing it because you cannot meet the target. So pooling resources, that will be able to help us to build on what is required within the African domain.
The power of collaboration and partnership, as was discussed earlier in the past panel. So I'll turn to you as well, give you an opportunity to speak. We heard earlier, diaspora remittances have reached over 1 trillion shillings. That's a huge vehicle, and has just been said, if we can pool those resources together and invest as a block, that's definitely something that will add value to the economy. But how about SACCOs in comparison to banks? How about the Nairobi Stock Exchange? Maybe touch on that in terms of SACCOs. How can people take advantage of this, and what do they even do? What vehicles can they enable?
SACCOs within the
economy? Within Kenya.
Okay, so let me give a background. So the Nairobi Securities Exchange, as it is, we have a new strategy. So with our new strategy, it's we have these big, hairy, audacious goals. So with those goals, we formed this new department, the retail department. So like everyone knows here, when you hear about a stock exchange, you're just thinking about shares and bonds. But now, under the NSE, it's a unique exchange because we're an exchange that is listed within its own exchange. So that comes with the opportunity for us to offer advisory services. So when we came to the SACCOs, there's one thing that any Kenyan knows: corporate governance. So with our advisory services, especially, I like the fact that he's talked about, with the diaspora, especially when it comes to investing, it's the level of mistrust that they have. Whenever, if I send in money, am I going to get back, What are some of the investable products that are there through SACCOs that I'm actually participating in? So at the moment, our strategy is to first clean up the corporate governance structures. It is not an easy journey, but it is very doable because as a regulator in the market, these are necessary steps that we need to take to advance these remittances as it is. Outside that, we have a lot of partnerships with organizations that assist us to have the actual leads of the diaspora. Like we did a market research with Visa 3 months ago. And the biggest concern that the diaspora has is is Kenya ready to receive the innovation that we want tech-wise? Yeah. So that is something that we are incorporating at the moment, but definitely it has to be faced, and the culture has to change. And I liked what he said earlier on. For us, it's not that we don't even have capital, it's not that we don't have infrastructure, it's the culture of doing business. So as the NSE, the stock exchange, that is one way we're thinking about advisory. Yeah, sorry.
And how can the diaspora take advantage of that? In terms of financial inclusion, is it easy for someone out of the country to set up an account with the NSE, buy stocks in, let's say, Safaricom or even Britam if they're listed? What is that process? Is it easy? Is it straightforward? You said you have big, audacious goals.
Yeah.
Is that something that is readily available?
Yeah, so it is readily available. So with our stock market, there's something that we need to appreciate, the structure and how it was founded from the get-go. So with our new strategy, we are able to now address the needs. We do have investment banks that are currently doing that. We have Starling, FIDA, all of them. If you go to our NSE website, just search on our trading participants, you can definitely reach out to one of them. If you have any issue, be ready to tell us the feedback, because that's what we need to move the products ahead, and even the interconnectivity. So yes, you can definitely open a trading account and to be able to invest. The only hurdle we have is the mistrust from the diaspora. So we need to have more engagements with this, like this, for us to hear the exact hurdles that you're facing on this other side.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And let me turn to our bank and talk about interest rates, and talk about, let's say you've seen an apartment by MyVida. You have an ambition to purchase this. You look at the interest rates and you're looking at 16%, 24%. I've seen so many different huge percentage rates. Meanwhile, outside of the country, let's say in the UK, some people locked in 2% mortgages, and at worst, at the moment, I think 4.5%, 5%. Meanwhile, the central bank has actually reduced certain rates. So talk to us just about how this interest rate thing comes about, and how banks actually evaluate someone who may look for a loan to invest in a property.
Thank you. So interest rates is let's just say it's an interesting conversation which has different connotations depending which side you look at it. But the point is, for banks generally, a lower interest regime is much better, and I'll explain why. One, it spurs activity, it spurs demand. It also it's safer when a bank is lending, because obviously, from a cash flows perspective to the borrower, it's a lot easier for them to manage the installments, etc. So actually, there is that view that we prefer a lower regime, and you might have seen some articles recently about banks pushing for that. The challenge is really on how deep is the market in terms of source of funding. That's where the challenge comes about. And really, Kenya specifically, if I look, obviously the market is deeper than some of our neighbors, but still has a long way to go in terms of the alternate products for funding that could help support, the 2% that you're referring to in those markets. But the journey is there. With the help of KMRC, for instance, we've been able to come up with, even fixed rates loans, at basically at around 9.5, which was unheard of, obviously, in the past. It's a journey, and how did that happen? It's basically with the ability of us being able to get such funding to support this. The biggest challenge here is the central bank, yes, also is pushing for the CBR, but the transmission, the time it takes to transmit that rate into the market takes long, and that's what they're trying to fix. The challenge is that the T-bills, which is actually what is linked with the savings linked rate, is not linked to the CBR. And that's where the transition doesn't take place. And that's what causes those kind of interest rates, because it's not really the CBR that's driving the rates, it's the T-bills. And until there's that harmony, you will have the disconnect. But the good thing is, I think the central bank understands this and is working to put in place their policies to try and drive that harmony, which will then drive that lower interest regime, and where funding can be equally competitive, so that you can, price these products at the right level.
Amazing. I'd love to see the day of a 2% a 2% mortgage. Let me come back to you. You talked about the power of collaboration and people coming together. Do you have any good examples of where perhaps a block of people have come together to do a successful investment, or part of a chama, for example, which are quite popular in Kenya? Any examples of how this has worked?
Yes, there've been quite a number of people I've worked with out there, whereby, for instance, you find that we've got a need around where somebody has an idea, but the funding, then they don't have funding. So they invest into that particular, let me give you an example of SME, for instance. So you find one has an idea, another one has some percentage of capital that they can put in monetary value. So the idea is invested in, then people bring in money from offshore, and in the process they consolidate that and make it to be an SME. And from there, then I know of some techie organizations where people brought in money and the ideas were put together, and then in terms of the returns, then they go sharing based on whatever they have invested in. So in the opportunities that are within Africa, the diaspora team can take advantage of that, look at whatever market needs that are available and bring in the resources. Again, the trust issue needs to be worked on, and more so given an opportunity, maybe sovereign guarantee from the government can be able to help in building that trust. So in the process, then flow comes out of Africa, and it can be able to spur economy that is there. Because the worst thing that is happening currently is that we have money coming in, but a large chunk of that money goes to be consumed. It doesn't go to savings, it doesn't go to investment. And that's what we need to work on to balance, so that we shift it from consumables into investment and into savings. So that is the area that we need to work on.
Okay, fantastic. Coming back to you, and one of the final questions here. Earlier on today, I heard that there were around 60 companies listed on the Nairobi Stock Exchange.
Can I correct
you? Please, somebody mentioned this earlier. Just correct us,
so
please.
So we're at 67.
67.
Yes.
So it's still an evolving and growing marketplace, yes. Right?
Yes.
What's the percentage of Kenyans who are actually investing on the stock exchange? Mm-hmm. Typical returns, mm-hmm. That type of thing.
Yeah, so actually, this is a plea. So according to our strategy, we want to reach 9 million active retail investors by 2029.
9 million?
Yes. And we have gotten critics that we're actually not as ambitious, but I think for us it's a great start. So I just wanted to ask, how many of us have a trading account? Don't be shy, it's okay.
Wow.
Yeah. You're encouraging others. So we are on a bull run right now. So what that means is the market is up by 56%. So companies like KPLC that were trading at 1 shilling are up right now at 14 Kenya shillings. Kengen was at 2 shillings, all those good things that are happening. We've seen some of the mergers coming up and some of this other information that maybe it's too much for this forum. But what I'd say is the equities market is an interesting segment that you'd really want to participate in. If we start talking numbers, it will really excite you. but there's no need to excite you and you've not even opened a trading account. So before you leave here, I'm part of an exchange, so we do not do account opening as such, but you can definitely approach a trading participant, which is an investment bank, and start your journey, because we are on a bull run, and we're expecting the next 6 months to be a very good season for us. So good returns as well. So at the moment, if you invested, let's say for the last 11 months, you'd be up 500%. Yeah, so it's quite a bit, yeah. The second thing I'd say is for the retail investor, when it comes to investing in the capital markets, always choose securities that are long-term. Long-term, that's where your money is at. I know this is not the forum for us today, but yeah, I think that's just the tip of the iceberg, I guess.
Okay, that's good. 500%, huh?
Yeah.
So if I put in $1 million,
I know some of you have had the talk on Ndindi Nyoro.
Yes.
Yeah, so
yes.
if you do not know, there's this politician called Ndindi Nyoro. We are not in any way affiliated with politics as I have to put it out there.
He needs to be in your marketing department, for sure.
NSC is not government related, just for you to get the picture of this. You can actually go and listen to his investment strategies, what he did, and how much he's plowed back in the last 3 months, and even just how the market is performing from a very... We're usually told we have a lot of jargon, so from a very simplistic way, it's a great start. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. I'll open up to the audience. Any burning questions to the bank, to the strategist, to the person who controls the market? I see a hand back here. I'll come with the microphone to you, and please be tough on them because 9% interest rates. Huh?
Hi, my name is Brett Calhoun, and I'm COO of ShipShap, which is an e-commerce startup. My question goes back a bit more tactically. I think all on the panel have talked about, and in general for this conference, wanting the diaspora to invest, and making that more accessible. And I think this question probably open to everyone, but more directed to Mr. Patel. I want to understand, can someone in the diaspora who hasn't moved back actually open an account and actually invest in the stock market? And I say that because I know you talked about figuring out how to do digital KYC, but it seems to me that that would still be a fairly big challenge of how do I actually just open this account and get started without having to maybe fly back here, get a local number, make sure my local ID is updated. And that's not something that's necessarily easy if you want to access that market. People can't come for months at a time to try and get that done.
Yeah. Thank you. So yes, you can. In short, that's the answer. But basically, we're working with different ways to get people onboarded. Obviously, depending on where we've got tie-ups, you can do it digitally, online, and get your start operating from there. We also offer the ability for you to invest actually in the stock exchange. We're actually offer that service within it. And one thing that I'd say it's coming, but it's something that the use case we did it was family banking, but actually it has several use cases, and one of them is to bring transparency even when you're investing. So what I mean is, even sending money, sometimes money is sent and they're not sure it's reached its destination, or sometimes you're sending money to the elderly and you're worried that the realities in this market there, well, globally, there are a lot of people scamming, etc. And we're part of this proposition that we're about to introduce is for your ability, even if you're sitting in the US or wherever you're sitting, you're not only able to monitor, but you can set limits of what they can do, and you can approve what they do while sitting wherever you are. So you have control of where the final funds go to. But to your point, in terms of investment opportunities, whether it's putting money in the bonds, the corporate bonds, it's government bonds, into the stock exchange, we have that offering, and it can be done all through the app. Even pooling for money market funds, it is possible to do it, and it's something part of the offering that we offer. And there's quite a bit. We're very strong, to your point, on partnerships. So there are a couple of partnerships that were in different stages. We want to be banking and stick to that. We don't want to be we're very clear that we'd rather work with partners and plug them into our apps, etc., so that you're able to basically distribute various services but within there, but obviously bring that transparency that's needed at the end of the day. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, another question from this side.
Yeah, I have a question for INM and NSE. So first for INM, in terms of a small business owner, sometimes you find it's the little transaction costs that really eat into your margin. So I'm just trying to wonder how INM and maybe the whole banking infrastructure is setting itself up so that it can provide favorable terms to small businesses. The other question is, at the moment, if anyone is running a business right now, the cash is contracting. So you're finding that an LPO that should be serviced within 30 days is taking 90 days, and that is affecting cash flows. So the current lending rate that banks are extending for you to cover your cash flows, it's quite expensive. So I think maybe you can touch on that, on how maybe we can make those two make sense for favorable terms for small businesses. NSE, I think especially if you are investing in bonds, I think at the moment we are looking at Kenya and we are seeing it's under debt distress, and more infrastructure bonds are being released. And we mentioned the issue of trust. So what happens when the government is going to default? Because it will.
Interesting. I think you can go first from the NSE, and then we'll cover INM after.
Thank you for that. So can I give you the other side of that? So whenever we talk about bonds, you should appreciate that every bond is usually ranked, or the quality of the bond that is out there, right? So whenever we talk about an economy, mostly you want to see the uptake of the bond. So you see the government releasing a bond and it being oversubscribed. I guess you're listening to the wrong people, because where is the money for it to be oversubscribed, right? So as in the Kenyan economy, I'll tell you, if you're in finances or investments, get information from credible sources. And when you're investing in a bond, there are various types of bonds. There are various assets for you to diversify. You're not coerced to one way. Look for a bond that is according to your return. Know the type of bond that you are investing in. Have a financial advisor to assist you to evaluate your returns, right? The longer the bond, you know how the saying goes, go to a financial investor and they'll assist you with the other side of that saying. But all I'm trying to tell you is, with investments, kindly, don't go just by saying, I know what I want, I will do what I want to know. You want to build a perspective, and you want to build wealth. And wealth is built by you having the knowledge for you to walk the journey. So as an exchange, these are some of the things and some of the information that we want to push out here. Look for the right financial investors. Have a valuation of what you want, because the type of bond you should go for is very different from the other person. If you're having switch bonds, for example, the ones that we're seeing, tap sales, these are kind of jargons to some of us. But they're very easy words, to be sincere, but you just need someone to help you understand them. Because the Kenyan market is very vibrant. It's just that there's a lot of misinformation, and there's no guidance for us to make the right decisions when it comes to financial planning. Yeah.
Good. INM, favorable rates as we wrap up.
Yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, the convergence, I think, is taking place, and we're in the right journey as a banking industry. If I look at some of the changes that have taken place recently, and I'll re-emphasize, actually lower rates as an industry, helps the economy, helps reduce default. Defaults are higher because of higher interest rates. That's the reality, right? So there is that push, and we're together with the CBK that KBA is working on to try and bring harmony. But we need all players to play their part. And when I say that, we also need the government to play their part, because if they are out there every week doing T-bills and offering all kinds of rates. That's the transmission issue that needs to be addressed, as a country. Regarding cost of payments, I&M is the only bank today where even for small businesses, we do not charge for bank to M-Pesa, So that's an example. If you use our app, we don't ask you which payment rail do you want. At the end of the day, what you as a consumer, what do you want? You want your money to go from X to Y, right? We use the lowest payment track possible based on whoever you're sending. So if they're in the Pesa Link environment, we actually use that because that's the cheapest. We're not asking you choose RTGS and it's 10 times the cost. We actually use the cheapest, and the whole idea is because we want to make sure that even as a consumer, you're able to do a lot more with us. And when we do a lot more with us, we're able to basically credit score you and then help you with your financing needs, right? And we can only do that if you're doing a lot more with us. So that's part of the reason why when we took that bold step, a couple of years back to waive, bank to M-Pesa, bank to Airtel charges, and that's really helped us basically get small businesses into our fold, individuals, and we've been able to use that data to really help us credit score them and then offer them, the right solutions for financial solutions that they need, and that strategy continues. Yeah. We've got some of our colleagues here who will be happy to show you, and you can open your account in the next 5 minutes as long as you have your ARP PIN. All right, thank you.
Thank you. And a round of applause for the panel. I think some very good questions and answers, and they will be around for you to ask them more about bonds and interest rates and strategies that you can deploy to make your money work for you. So thank you very much.